Hey toy robot fans, so I've been doing so many Gundam Converge videos that I thought maybe it'd be nice to have like a diorama for some of my favorite ones, because some of the larger Converges I think maybe would fit in well with this 144 scale hanger here I bought off AliExpress. There's no brand or anything like that, it's just a generic product, and the listing I saw had multiple parts. This one happens to be part RG019A, which I think is this main part. But they had other part sets that you can combine to make a really big diorama. Okay, let's take a look at this. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's also instructions in here. So there's A, B, C, D. I don't know if this is all in here. Probably. It looks like there's a bunch of runners there. So, well, it's very nice. It actually tells you how to put it all together. Pretty much like a regular Gundam robot model kit. And I suppose it's supposed to end up looking like picture number 34. So, I thought they were just going to be like loose and finished. I didn't realize it was going to be a model kit. So, it's going to take a lot longer than I thought it was going to. Weird. There's even some wires here for some sort of detail effect. So these seem to be duplicates. Runner A. Runner D is its own little thing. These are also duplicates. Runner B. B and A seem to have two. And then this is runner B2 for some arms. And then for some reason this one has a different bag. And this is runner C. Alright, so the main base. Naturally you can paint this, detail it. Looking at the grooves of it, you know, you could get a paint marker in there pretty nice because the groove looks like it's a good millimeter deep or something like that. So little paint pens and markers would be pretty easy. But drawing on, you know, something this gray, this is a pretty dark gray, it's going to be tough. So if you do want to actually color it, you might want to paint it a metallic silver or maybe white first, so then the colors will pop a lot better. Well, let me get some clippers here. Maybe I'll put this to music and you can see me build this thing. Alright guys, there we go. So, there's still a bunch of dust from the sanding. I sanded off some of the more obnoxious clippings. This is like a good and bad design. The good part is all the parts fit tightly. You know, these rails are very tightly fit, so you don't even need glue, which is nice because now I can take the whole thing apart and paint it later on if I want to. I just want to put this together to see what it overall looks like. Now, there's some bad parts or some issues that I find a bit odd in the actual design decisions made with this. The first one is this thing. It clips onto this for no reason. Because none of these parts, these little hooks that can fit into these sidewalls, these hooks, the pin is too small. This also is like an adjustable hook here, but it cannot go up there. So that is really strange. And actually, let me stop this first. What is nice is this thing can go up and down. This is a lock, and there's a few teeth. That's the overall range. Ideally, that would have been a much longer range of movement, but it is not. And I don't think it even mattered if I remove this. This thing is actually probably removing detail. What I have a suspicion is maybe on some of the other part kits, maybe they interact with this piece. But this kit alone, I don't think really needs these things because you can actually see the frame details are nicer without it. So, yeah, keep that in mind. Alright, so the lock is nice, it's convenient. It also has these, and the instructions make no reference whatsoever as to what these are for, but what I have a suspicion is you can mate maybe two of these walls together because it does fit this width here. So, but again, it will not fit the width of these two. The pins are too small and they're spaced differently. One major oversight is this. Underneath here you have these plates that are holding the walls up, right? And you actually have 3 pins. If you wanted to put 2 walls next to each other, you could. And actually, before I forget, you can actually put the pins, you know, on either side, of course. But the pegs are so long that if you do that, you'll probably push out the other one. See, it's like gonna push the other one out. I guess if you glued them permanently, you know, you could just clip off some of the peg and then have, you know, hooks on both sides. So that's up to you. It's nice that they do give you a pretty good variety of hooks and, well, 2 varieties and quantities, a lot of quantities. But this hook with the adjustable arm, it doesn't want to sit here because, watch, there's a big air gap there. Hopefully you can see. So that's a little weird. I kind of wish that would sit flush. The one I have, well, I can put it, rearrange it, hold on. If I put that here in the middle maybe, then it will sit flush. But see, it just pushed out the other peg. So that's kind of weird again. Why is it forced to only go in certain holes and not all of the holes? So keep that in mind. Alright, let me just try to... There are 2 extra handrails. I guess they're just spares maybe, in case you break, you know, some, which is nice, spare parts. This thing here, these little balconies are moving walkways. They pivot on this thing, and you can move the pivot to either side, and then you can cover up the opened hole with the peg. But I originally thought they would go on this, but again, it's just too small of a peg to fit this thing. But it would have been nice if they could go on this little collar, because then you could have 3 tiers of walkways. So again, that's a strange decision that this peg isn't bigger. It's only, this peg only allows this walkway to actually go on this wall. I suppose you could, because the peg is so long here, you can stack these. So that's nice, and it actually still stays relatively horizontal. Ideally, there would be 3, and then you could actually bridge the whole width. But I think I might be able to get around that, which I'll show in a moment here. Alright, so I'm sorry, that was a bit of a random segue, but I don't want to forget anything, you know. So what I was going to talk about before is this little base connector plate. So let me get this wall off of this. Right. I want the walls to be closer. Right. It looks a little weird, you know. I don't really see this. I would rather just have a wall coming off of this platform. But if I can't, I'd rather just have it be closer to that platform. But now look at this. If I try to put this middle peg into this hole, it collides with this rib. So that's a strange design decision again. The rib should be placed in a different spot. Another thing, one would think that you could maybe take these three and peg it in this way, but you cannot. See, the spacing of the pegs is off. I can't do it here. I can't do it here, right? So the only way these are spaced is this way, you know. Only 2 pegs, not 3 pegs. So I can peg it here if I want, in the middle, or in the back, and then the front in the middle, or to the side, either way. So it's nice that you have that adjustability. But if you actually want the wall closer like I do, what I have to do now is I'm going to have to take some clippers and basically clip that away, and then I can have the wall, you know, there. In fact, you know what, I think I will try doing this. Oh, but see, well, let's see. It's so close, but no. I was trying to just force it, but no, it's not going to happen. So I essentially have to take my clippers. Where are they? Let's get my really rough clippers here. I have to just get a marker and just mark off the section of the wall I want to remove. In this case, somewhere from there to there, there to there, something. Right. So just do that. Now, this should be able to go in there. Alright, so it is going to be closer now. Alright. There's also these 2 little adjustable tiny arms. And they have the same peg on both ends, but I cannot get them to work in a way where it would peg in the same wall. So I'm not sure what that's for. Possibly, let's try this. Is this the same peg size? Maybe, yeah, it is. So maybe it could be a support for the walkway. I guess it could be a support for one end of the walkway. That's the only thing I can think of. Otherwise, again, maybe in the other sets that this company offers, this goes to something else in a different set. But as a freestanding, you know, one single kit, it's a little bit kind of weird. Alright, so I'm gonna take this off again. So as you can see, the tights are really fit, and maybe that's why they gave you extra handrails, because I think just taking this apart, you're gonna break something, because this is a really tight fit. There we go, finally. Alright, so. And then, I guess I'll put that in right there. Now, see, that's another strange thing. I can't use this peg because this ledge is in the way. Ideally, this surface would be where the peg begins. Then I could pick any one of those holes I want. But because I can't, I guess maybe I'll try this hole down here. Nope, that doesn't really want to work either. So that's really strange. Maybe I have to try this top hole. Alright, well, now that's very loose. So that's kind of weird as well. And then the spacing here, I can't use that hole. So it's almost like, how did they even have it mounted in the first place? Where was this one? Oh, wait, what's going on here? Oh, I put it in backwards. I see. So that's not their fault. That's just because they're apparently, this ledge has to go up here. So now that is a perfectly flat surface. So my bad. Alright. Well, it's good to get the, viewpoint of a moron like me. So maybe it can save you from the same problems. Alright, so I do like that those things swing out nice. And then the top walkways are really nice. These pivot obviously 90 degrees, and they factored in that the handrails won't collide with each other. So there, that's open. Actually, that'll go even a little bit past parallel. So you can open these up as you want. This little crane thing will rotate. It will not spool out further though. This wire stuff, it just has a fixed length. Same with this. This is a fixed length here. But what's nice about this crane is it slides on this walkway. So that's kind of neat, I think. I'm pretty sure you could probably maybe flip-flop these. Possibly. I don't know. Actually, I don't know. Design-wise, yeah, I feel like maybe this area here could have had more panel lines or greebly effects. I think it's down here is pretty nice. The actual platform itself is pretty nice. It's got some sort of venting down there, and again the recesses. I do believe these pieces are meant to have LEDs on them, but that's a different set entirely. So it's nice, but for now they're just there to cover up those holes. Alright, so next thing we're gonna do is just look at a bunch of different robots to put in here. So the whole video was because I have all these Converge robots, right? So here's a standard size Converge. Obviously that's a bit small. Unfortunately, it's still too big to actually stand on those platforms, right? So standard Converge, I guess, I mean, it is possible you could fit a bunch in there, and it still looks like just a big hangar, right? But that top part's not going to really interact with your robots, right? This is actually a Votom scope dog, but it is a Converge figure. So you notice here, now that I was able to move this one peg in, I can actually take those two walkways and span the gap. So it kind of helps hide this rather plain looking thing and have some little walkway action back there. So it's just an option for you. But you'll have to cut, obviously, the rib underneath again. Alright, let's look at some larger Converge figures. Here's a Queen Mansa. Now, we're starting to look like a Gundam Hangar, right? Because this is obviously a much bigger Converge figure. And then maybe if you quick release that and move this thing down, you can get some of the walkways kind of close, although it's still quite a bit above the Queen Mansa. So let's try a different one. The Nightingale's not going to look so good because the Nightingale's even shorter. And in this case, the base itself isn't very open. It's meant for probably a real grade or a high grade Gundam with, long legs. But the design of this thing, I guess if you stagger it off to the side, then it can work. But, this again is all kind of wasted. Let's try one with the stand, a smaller one. Here's the Zaku, Psycho Zaku. Well, that's doable. Maybe it's just about to fly out or something. If I move the walkways, then I could obviously orient it to one side, facing us. But again, the walkway up there is kind of worthless now with this scale. And then the biggest Converge I'm aware of is the Neo Zeong. So this definitely works. I'm going to have to move those walkways though. Alright, this works well enough that it's worth a rotation. I didn't talk about this little thing. This can pivot, you know, up, spin, go in and out. That little arm. Let me show you guys. Probably better just do it, right? So it can swing out like that, and then this thing can, whoop. Might want to glue these parts together, but this can rotate, as you can see on this peg here. So that's nice. Alright. Yeah, I think maybe I'll clip this thing again and move this wall in further, because it's just taking up too much space on the floor. And so here we have two 1/48 scale Votoms, which are like walking tanks, and I think it actually works well with if you ignore the top part. You know, it looks like just a weapons room for these Votoms. I think you'd easily, you know, hang their weapons on these pegs, or hooks if you want to call them, and that works. What's unfortunate is this thing is trapped. It doesn't freely come out, so if you want it to actually come out, you'll probably have to clip off a piece of it, which I think I'll probably actually do later, because gravity alone will keep it in place, and then also when you lock it in place with the tooth there, I think that's stable enough. Alright, the last thing we should probably look at is just some 1/12 scale action figures, but I have a feeling they're already too tall. Yeah, here's a Lim Toys Ahab. Yeah, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I mean, why would he have a small girder and a tiny crane next to him? So that doesn't work. And even worse would be Blade, because this is a Mezco Blade. It's a bigger, slightly bigger toy. So yeah, I mean, this is meant for 1/44 scale. So it's obvious that's not going to work. But I thought I'd throw it out there because, you know, these guys carry a lot of guns and stuff. It would be nice, really, if these two walls could stack on top of each other. But unfortunately, the walls have two pegs, but the top one doesn't have two holes. So that could have been designed better as well if these could go vertical. But not the case. Alright. Well, unfortunately, I don't actually have any two-legged 1/44 scale Gundams. I'm sure other people must have reviewed the little thing and shown you Gundams. This is all I have. It's a Zeong, one of the real grades, but the thing has no legs. And here's the stand that it came with, but you know, this thing's huge. It's just not going to sit on that properly, you know, and there's no peg hole there either. So yeah, it's really not meant for a really obscure design. This thing is meant for regular looking Gundams with two legs. Alright, so sad I can't show you that. But, so that's what's going on here. You know, I bought this off AliExpress. It wasn't too expensive. I think for what I paid for it, I'm pretty happy. You know, it does have a lot of parts. Even some extra handrails, which is nice. It's just a few design issues, but you can work around them. You know, if you make model kits, you can obviously modify this to your heart's content. So, and then obviously it's nice that you can strip it apart just like a real Bandai model kit and then repaint it. So the friction fits here are very good. Alright guys, well thank you for watching, and maybe you'll see this in future reviews. I might use it as a background for my rotary table, although I might have to lose the walls then because you won't see the model I'm showcasing. In fact, I might have to lose this entire thing as well. But if you do remove this entire pillar, you're going to have these 4 peg holes visible, and there's no way to cover those up, at least with these parts. You'll have to plug them up with putty or something. Thanks for watching today. See you in the next model review.